Hello and welcome to Minikun Tutorials. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to calculate the mean for a category inside a variable in R or RStudio. But before we proceed, I would like to remind you that I've already made a video on how to calculate the mean for a row or how to calculate means for several rows or a selection of rows in R or RStudio. So if you haven't had the opportunity to watch my previous tutorial on how to calculate the mean for a row in R or RStudio, please look right below in the description box of this particular video that you are watching, and you would find a link to my previous tutorial on how to calculate the mean for a row in R or RStudio. And please also remember to subscribe and to like the video. It's a great way of encouraging me as a content creator to keep making interesting videos like this for you. And please do not hesitate to comment if you do not understand anything, or if you have a video suggestion or any feedback on this particular tutorial that I'm making. Please do not hesitate to comment. Okay, I always reply to all my comments. Before we proceed, please know I love you and I always do my best to share what I know with you. And it's actually a learning process. All that you know, always share in the comment section, and we all discuss and get to know how to use R and get to understand statistics and what have you. Okay, so you would ask me, what do I mean by calculating the mean for a category inside a variable? Okay, now all of you would bear with me that we only calculate the mean of a numeric variable, right? So we can calculate, for instance, the mean age of a class. In this case, age is a numeric variable. We can calculate the mean age of what? A flock of sheep, okay? We can calculate the mean body weight of a flock of sheep. We can calculate the mean body weight of what? A class of students, right? So we usually calculate the mean for what? Numeric variables, in other words, quantitative variables like age, height, weight, and what have you, right? Now, age, height, or weight are simply what? Examples of numeric variables, right? But the issue is that sometimes we are not interested in calculating the mean of this particular numeric variable of interest for the whole class of students, for example. Okay, we might not be interested in calculating the mean age of the whole class or the mean weight of the whole class, but we might be interested in a particular category. For instance, we are interested in what? The mean age of what? Women, right? Or we are interested in the mean age of girls, okay, or mean age of what? Boys, right? In this case, I'm going to show you how you can calculate the mean age for a category of your numeric variable and not just the entire variable, right? Okay, so, and sometimes let me give you another example. Instead of, let's say, calculating the mean age of just boys, you might be interested in calculating the mean age of boys who were diagnosed positive. So what that means is that the condition for this particular mean that you are calculating is that you are selecting individuals who are boys and who were also diagnosed positive. You could also twist it around and say, okay, I'm going to calculate the mean age of boys, okay, of let's say boys, or let's say I want to calculate the mean age of students who are boys or who were diagnosed positive. So you see, this is a different thing, which means I want to calculate the mean age of boys or students who were diagnosed positive. In this case, students who were diagnosed positive could include girls, but I'm interested in calculating the mean age of what? So I'm going to select all boys and all students who were diagnosed positive, and I'm going to calculate the mean. So you see that we can actually instruct R to do a lot of complex calculations when it comes to calculating mean, and all this relies on the principle of calculating mean for a category inside a numeric variable of our interest. It could be age, it could be height, it could be weight, or any other numeric variable. So without much ado, let me show you how we can do that. Okay, now to do this, I have a data set right here on the desktop in the form of a CSV file, and I'm going to read it into R for us to start. So I just right click on it. By the way, if you have difficulties in reading data into R, please check in my YouTube channel, and then you find several videos on how to do this. Okay, then I'll click on properties, click on security. Now copy the full file path here. Okay, just copy it, click on OK. Then I'll come to my R or RStudio, whichever one that you are using, and I'll simply say, let's name our data set data, right? Data with capital D. Let's call it data this way. Okay, then I'll say less than or equal to, sorry, I said less than or equal to, less than and then hyphen, right? If you want, you could also put equal sign, it's the same thing. So these are just basic stuff of R that I'm trying to share, especially for those who are beginners and who are not conversant with R. I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible. So our data set is equal to, we are naming it data with capital D, and we use the read.csv command since my data set is in the form of a CSV file. So CSV, read.csv into brackets, into quotations. Then I'll simply paste the file path that or extension that we copied earlier on, close the quotations and close the bracket, and now change the backslashes into forward slashes. Okay. Okay. And okay. So let me read this into R and let's start. Okay, R hasn't given me any error, so let me print the data set by saying print into brackets our data with capital D, data, so that you can see the data set. All right, so as you can see, we have our data set here, and let's assume that it's a class of 14 students. Okay, so we have or let's say let's assume it's actually a group of 14 patients. So we have the patient ID, the gender, the age, the weight, the diagnostic status or diagnosis status, whether the patient is positive or negative, and then the year of the diagnostic, right? As you can see. Now we might be interested in, so we'll take it bit by bit. Okay, so let's assume that we want to calculate the mean age of the whole group of 14 patients. It will simply mean that we are going to calculate the mean of what? Age, right? And that is just it. We are interested in calculating the mean of the variable age, and that is okay. But in the case where we want to calculate the mean of the mean age of patients who are masculine or feminine, or in other words male or female, then in this case we will have to calculate the mean of a particular category of what age, not all the ages. So we'll be interested in either selecting only men or women, and we might be interested in calculating the mean age of men who were tested positive. So in this case we are combining the category men and what? The category positive status. We might be interested in calculating the mean age of men or patients who had a positive diagnosis status. So in this case, it's going to include, first of all, all the ages of men and all the ages of people who were tested positive, whether they were men or women. Now, the sum of all these ages divided by the total number of individuals is what we refer to as the mean age of women or men who were tested were positive. No, the mean age of men and all patients who were tested positive, or the mean age of women and all patients who were tested positive. So I'm basically taking my time to explain this because this is very important in statistics, because you often be confronted with a problem where you want to just calculate the mean of a particular category or a selection of categories with respect to what a particular numeric variable of your choice, and I'm going to show you all that in details. So to start with, let's calculate the mean age. Before that, let's actually look at the structure of our data set. Okay, like I said, the condition for calculating mean is that the variable of interest must be numeric. So you cannot calculate the mean status, it will give you an error. You cannot calculate the mean gender, it will give you an error. But you can calculate the mean age, and you can also calculate the mean body weight, so, and here you could assume it's numeric, but in this case it's not numeric. We are interested in whether the diagnostic was in 1999 or 2000, so it has to be categorical. And that is why it's important to verify the nature of your variables before you proceed with calculating your mean, else it might give you an error that you will not understand. It will say this particular variable is not numeric. All right, so to verify the nature of your variable, you simply type str into brackets the name of your data set. So data, to look at, I think str means structure, so it give you the structure of your data set. In other words, it will define the nature of your variables for you. So if I should run this now, watch here, it's telling us that ID is an integer, which is okay. Gender is a character, but in some cases R can actually recognize gender as numeric. It happens. It's up to you to convert it using the as.numeric command. Okay, age is integer, which is perfect. Weight is also integer, which is also perfect. Status is a character, which is perfect. Character or categorical factor is okay. But if we realize that it has recognized year as what? Integer, in other words numeric, okay, but we don't want to treat a year as numeric. We want to, it's categorical. Either the diagnostic was done in this 1999 or 2000. So we want to convert year from integer or numeric to categorical or a factor. Then let me show you how. You simply say data, which is the name of our data set. The object that we use to name our data set is data with capital D. Then use the $sign to select the variable that you want to convert. So we're interested in converting which variable? Year. Okay, so we are using the $sign to select year within our data set. So year, then we say it's equal to, okay, equal to this way. Then we say as, which means consider as dot factor, or you could say character, it depends. So but we as dot factor, because it's categorical, there are two responses, either either 1999 or 2000. So it's categorical. Fact is a factor. So as dot factor into brackets, you repeat the same thing, data $sign year, then we close this. Now if I run this, R is going to convert year into what? Categorical, or if you want a factor, and no more numeric, integer or numeric. Now if I should look at the structure of my data set again, now you realize that year is now considered as a factor. Usually a factor and a character, they mean literally the same thing. Okay, it just depends. When there are more than, let's say, R could either recognize, when the variable is categorical, R could either recognize it as a factor or as a character. There's no need in explaining the details, but for the meantime, assume that factor and character are the same, integer and numeric are the same. Okay. So now that we've done the conversion, we'll proceed to first of all calculate the mean of. So let's proceed with the first thing that we're going to do. So first thing is to calculate the mean. Calculate the mean of all observations. So first one is to calculate the mean of let's assume we are interested in calculating the mean age. So the mean age of all observations, the mean age of all observations, in other words, all 14 patients. So to do this, we simply say mean into brackets data with capital D. We use a dollar sign to select the variable of interest. In our case, it's age. Okay, if I should run this, now R has given us the mean age of all the 14 patients to be what? 16.78571. Okay, but let's assume that we are interested in calculating the mean age of what? Let's say the mean age of women, right? So we are interested in calculating the mean age of women. Let me show you how. So the second calculation that we're going to do is what? Calculate the mean age of one category of or inside age. Age is our variable or numeric variable inside age. So we're interested in one category inside age. It could be men or women. So if we want the mean age of men, how do we do that? Then we simply say mean into brackets data. We use the dollar sign to select age once again, but this time around we are interested in the mean age of just what? Men. So to select that of men, we're gonna write it like data. We are calculating the mean age of men. However, we are going to indicate the category. So to indicate the category, we use the square bracket. So we put square brackets here. Okay. And then within this square bracket, we're going to indicate the category that we are selecting. So it's men. So now we would say what is the variable that contains the category men? The variable that contains the category men is what? Gender, right? Males is gender. So we're going to say data dollar sign, which variable? We are selecting what? Gender. Then we use the double equal sign, press double equal sign 2 times, and then use quotations because this is not a number. We are going to indicate M, which is for this modality or category, which is M here. We are referring to men. So M. If we were women or females, then we put F. Okay. Now if I should close it and then close the bracket, R is going to calculate the mean age of what? Only men for us. And that is 16. The mean age of only men is 16. If you want, you can verify that yourself. Okay, the mean age of only men, which means if you take 10 plus 15 gives you 25, plus 15 gives you 40. I cannot calculate everything. Plus this gives you what? 42. Plus this gives you 52. I can't do it. It's a whole lot of work, but R has given us the value, and this is the importance. Okay, now let's look at the third option, which is what? Calculating calculate the mean what did I say here? Calculate the mean of one category, not the mean h, the mean of one category inside the variable h. So calculate the mean of two categories. So we say this time around two categories. Inside the numeric variable h. So how do we calculate the mean of two categories? What are these two categories of our choice? Probably we are interested in the mean h of what? Men who were tested positive. So we have category, we have on the one hand we have category with respect to the variable, the categorical variable gender. We're interested in men, and at the same time with respect to the categorical variable status, we're interested in the positive status. So not just all men, but all men who were tested positive, and not just all patients who were tested positive, but patients who were tested positive and who were men. So N is very, very important here. So how do we do that? We simply say our mean, once again, into brackets, data, okay, $h. We use the square brackets to select the categories. Then we repeat data. Since we are interested in the mean age of men, then $gender. We use the double equal sign twice, and then we specify male, since we want men. Okay, so men once again. Okay, and it's not just this category, but we want men who were tested positive. So the N, you use this sign, N is this. Okay, and you use this sign, data, $. When we are talking about positive, it's with respect to the categorical variable status. So we are selecting the variable status using the $, and we press double equal sign double or twice, and then you specify positive. So not all, so just positive. Sorry, positive, as you can see. So I write positive here. I close the quotations and close my square brackets and close my brackets. Now let me run this and see what it will give us. Okay, it has given us 15. So what that means is that the mean age of men who were tested positive is actually what? 15. Now the last thing that we're going to do with respect to calculating mean of two categories inside the numeric variable h will be using, instead of the operator and, we'll be using the operator or, which means let's assume that we want to calculate the mean age of women or patients who were diagnosed negative. So what that means is that we are instructing R to filter out women, which means all women, and then also all individuals who were tested positive. Sum up their ages, divide by the total. So let's do that. Now to say mean age of women, for instance. So say mean, for instance, mean into brackets data $age. Then we use the square brackets to select our variable of interest. So always gender. So data $gender. You press equal sign twice, but this time around one day of women, so females, no longer men. But we do not want to say mean age of females who were tested negative. but I want to say mean age of females who is, we either want the mean age of females or patients who were tested negative. So how do you, what's the operator or? The operator or is actually the straight, I don't want to call it the straight bar. Okay, we have, let's say, backslash, forward slash, this straight one here. Please let me know its name in the comment section. Okay, so this particular one here, you put the sign here. Don't use backslash or forward slash, just the straight one. Okay, and then we're going to indicate that data $sign status. So status, sorry, status, press equal sign twice into quotations, negative. So we are instructing R always repeat to calculate for us the mean age of women or patients who were tested negative. Let's run this, and R gives us the answer to be 17.5. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe.